The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, sir, Honorable Prime Minister, colleagues, I wish to pay my respects to my elders and to our people and say my pranams and Nimbula Vinaka to all, including those who are watching on television or live stream. I pay tribute to the Vanua and my Girimitia ancestors. I wish to congratulate all members of the Parliament in this House. I am honored to stand in this august House as the Assistant Minister for Women, Children and Poverty Alleviation in the coalition government. And I'm somewhat bewildered at the same time, having a very short political career. I would like to thank National Federation Party, my family, friends, and voters whose faith in me has brought me here. I also wish to thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his faith in me. I'd also like to pay special tribute to late Alan Lockington. Alan was a citizen activist and humanitarian of rare dedication. He supported me among many other brothers in my campaign at a time when political environment was very challenging for a late comer like me. I wish to acknowledge the family of Mr. Sharda Reddy, sibling of late Shri Jairam Reddy ji, who cocooned me during the campaign period. Sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, I've come from the NGO sector. Many people know about Friend, the organization I had founded with other committed people. I have more than 2 decades of experience working with rural communities and vulnerable families to provide them with social, economic, and health opportunities, health empowerment opportunities. Food security through organic agriculture and traditional food systems has been a core part of the work I have been involved in. My work with Friend has taken me to rural and peri-urban communities in the west, north, as well as the maritime areas. This has given me many insights into challenges faced by our communities. My experience also includes disaster response and rehabilitation, as well as trauma healing and peace building. I have served on many regional and international development boards over the last 2 decades that has also provided me with global perspectives. With that experience, I hope to work with every sector and agency who can work with our ministry to achieve our goals and targets. Specifically, these are income support to families to address poverty, policy interventions and improved services for older persons, people living with disabilities, beggars and people living with mental health challenges, and various other wards of the state. I have always felt very invested in this country's development. I strongly believe that through partnerships and using our existing skills and resources, we can achieve sustainable development. I felt I was already in a space where I could plan and deliver definitive outcomes. Although people asked me about politics, I did not think I could survive in a government machinery and bureaucracy and achieve the wins I wanted. But here I am, and I guess time will tell. My hope was on a Friend board member, the prominent lawyer and human rights activist, Mr. Richard Naidu, to be in this House. I was hoping that our many issues needing national attention could be raised through him. However, political persecution of leaders like him, people who've committed their lives to this nation, forced me to change course. There are many issues impacted our most vulnerable people had to be brought to national level. The civil society sector was under attack from the previous government, even though we were trying our best to provide relief and care to communities in need. So within days after the date of election was announced, I walked out of the organization I had created and my political journey began. Everything happened rather quickly, but here I am. I have a lot to learn about how the government machinery works. I find it rather slow, I must say. I accept that the government must consult widely, and I know it must be accountable and transparent with its money. I know that sometimes these things take time, but I would also like to find ways in which we can be more nimble and responsive to the needs of our most vulnerable people. That's not easy. During the pandemic, I worked extensively with the Commissioner Western's office to get resources to those affected by the pandemic as well as the natural disasters. We worked across our networks with civil society organizations and faith-based organizations. In those difficult days, we tried to support the Ministry of Health even while the government attacked and belittled us. So I had some idea of the problems in the government. But Mr. Speaker, sir, coming into office, I was still shocked at the neglect of our various government facilities housing some of our most vulnerable people. I have met teams at our ministry headquarters and in the field. They're overworked and burnt out. Most buildings we occupy need urgent repairs. The air conditioning doesn't work. Landlords getting regular rent seem to be in no rush to fix the problems. The IT systems don't work. Many of the staff use their own recharge cards to call our clients. They have to deal with child protection, domestic violence, and social protection programs. Each of these needs research and attention to individual humans. So there's a backlog because teams are overstretched. We need better resource teams. We are talking to various development partners looking for better ways to work together to improve our service delivery. We have 94,600 recipients on social protection programs, Mr. Speaker, sir. Our financial support is rarely enough.
Order.
Our financial support is rarely enough to allow people to live a dignified life where they can meet their full potential. For many, welfare support should be temporary to support them while they face challenges of unemployment or illness. But there is no program to help welfare recipients to move out of welfare and to new opportunities. I hope that we can work with the Ministry of Trade with the support towards micro-enterprises. I would like us to do more with the Ministry of Agriculture's Women in Agriculture program, among others. We need to find ways to empower the poor and create viable livelihoods. Mr. Speaker, sir, we recognize and hear the feedback from our clients, including our welfare partners, that the social welfare schemes need review and reform. We have global commitments to report on under various international conventions we have ratified. But these have to match the reality on the ground. We have shocking rates of violence against women and children. We have more street dwellers, many with mental health challenges. Easily accessible hard drugs are damaging our young population. We do not have drug rehabilitation programs or facilities. We are not focused on our growing mental health crisis. We are grateful to partners like St. Vincent de Paul and Dolomani Home that have stepped up to provide support to street dwellers. We know that NCD-driven amputations are adding weekly numbers to people living with disabilities, which means we must work with the Health Ministry to develop sustainable care programs. Late last year, the previous government announced the closure of Golden Age Home in Lotoka with residents to be moved to Suva or Lambasa. We have reversed this decision. We have now secured the former Bar Mission Hospital as a new care facility. However, we'll be challenged to fund the necessary renovations, and this is my next priority. Mr. Speaker, we have to look at how we care for our children in our orphanages. Girls must leave them at the age of 18, and they're often ill-prepared for independent life. 12-year-old boys are placed in alternative care. I'm really thankful that St. Christopher's Home is now building a facility to accommodate the boys. We have started working with Fiji Women's Crisis Center to cater for girls leaving those homes to upgrade their life skills and find boarding schools for their education. Scholarships for tertiary education and foster homes could solve some of the challenges of these very vulnerable children. Pathways to foster care could also be greatly beneficial. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful that our Prime Minister has announced local government elections this year. This means we can begin to address many of the complaints I heard about during the election campaign. These include poor rubbish disposal and dump sites, poor drainage and stray dogs. I ask our youth and women in particular to rise to the occasion and become elected leaders in these local governments. Mr. Speaker, almost all houses in Lotoka have been impacted in some way by the Asian subterranean termite infestation. And this infestation has spread to Nandi, Ba, Tavo, and the Northern Division. Many poor and vulnerable people are losing their homes to these infestations. I wish to acknowledge this government for recognizing the challenge and committing to deal with it. Mr. Speaker, I now want to talk about race relations and national unity. We all saw during the election, after the election, the politics of race being played. Our people have paid dearly in the past decades for this. I have closely witnessed the events of 2000. I have worked with many impacted communities. I started studying trauma healing and participated in some very difficult conversations. I grew up in an Indo-Fijian settlement. I had no education on cross-cultural learning, so to try and understand the culture, fears, and pain of the indigenous communities was a steep learning curve. I'm still learning. Even now, both indigenous and Indo-Fijian communities feel that they are victims of the other. They fear that the other will take away their resources or their sense of belonging. When I started on this journey, I was shocked and a little ashamed at how little I knew about indigenous culture. I learned that to build better understanding and improve race relations, we need to review our history. I have discovered that if we try, we build stronger relationships. And I wish to acknowledge the Vanua of Rewa and Gonemarambale na Rokutwin Reketi, Rotemumu Kepa, for enabling a healing journey to unfold in 2016. This culminated in the ceremony by which the Indo-Fijian people of Fiji became the Lubendra Naratu. I wish to pay tribute to Turanganatu Inodo, the late Ratu Isoan Damundamu, who gave us the descendants of Girmitias his identity, his Idavuti, so we could truly belong to the Vanua of Biti. I would also like to acknowledge the late Momo Natui Vitongo, Ratu Williame Sovasova, and Momo Natui Tavua, the late Ratu Nadanieli Unge for leading the Vanua Mba to a Vesa ceremony in 2017, where they gave a kamonanga of protection to the descendants of Girmitias. I pay my tribute to and offer my condolences to the Vanua of Suknandangi on the sad loss of Momo Natui Vitongo. For generations to come, our physical features will link us back to our proud Girmitia ancestors. In the 1990s, when I joined the board of Civicus, a global NGO, one of its prominent leaders said he had only seen the rugby boys from Fiji. He said, "You don't look like them." I had to explain our Girmit history to him. Personally, I'm quite comfortable with my identity as an Indo-Fijian, a person of Indian origin who belongs to Fiji. It's not a common name that gives me the sense of belonging I ached for. It is dialogue, learning, and being accepted by the Vanua. I know our coalition government is committed to nation building, healing, and ensuring that all people in Fiji belong. I pray that day comes soon when we are able to see beyond our ethnicity, to treat each other with humanity, love each other unconditionally, and to build harmony. We all owe it to our country to help build Fiji. We all owe it to our values of humanity that no one sleeps hungry in our communities, regardless of ethnicity. Mr. Speaker, I pledge to do my best to make sure that we serve the people of Fiji. May God bless this nation, and I thank you for this time. Nakavatleu.